Hello, guys. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to start full with our course. And as I mentioned, the introduction session, the classes are going to be somewhat different, especially in the interaction we have, because we are going to be working with synchronous work when you connect on Zoom and asynchronous, and that means that you work independently, right? As I said, we start the class, most of the sessions with asynchronous work or independent work, and that's exactly what you have been doing. And today, we are starting with our first unit for this course, which is Unit 1, Getting On. And as I also mentioned, you are working independently with Google Classroom or with the WhatsApp group, right? So Unit 1, Getting On. So this unit is all about relationships and how we get on with other people and the different expressions that we can use to talk about relationships. And we are also going to check and analyze some writing later. But regarding the grammar, in this first unit, we are going to be reviewing a lot of different tenses that you have studied before and that I'm very sure that you remember. But just for us to have these tenses fresh in our minds, we're going to do a review. Okay, so let's dig into this and let's start checking what those tenses are in English. We're going to focus mostly on the function, and we're going to analyze deeper when and how we use those tenses. Not a lot on form because I'm sure that you know the structures, but we're going to try to clarify some doubts about structure later. Remember, you can make notes, and if you have questions or something is not clear from this video, you can ask your questions later when we connect and we discuss the grammar and we check the activities you are doing. Okay, so the grammar. Okay, so when we talk about grammar or tenses in English, we think about the three most important ones, right? Present, past, and future. So let's analyze those ones. Present and past. Future is for the next unit. Okay, present and past. When do we use the present? When do we use the past? Probably you can say, well, the present is to talk about the present. Duh, right? I'm not sure about that. What about the past? Talk about the past. Well, in English, especially for present simple, there is a little bit of incongruence or something that is quite not the same as in Spanish. The present simple in English does not express real present or present for this right moment. And we're going to explain why. Probably you say, what are you saying, teacher? Like the present is for the present, right? We're talking about the present simple. When do we use the present simple? We don't use the present simple to talk about activities that are occurring right now. And let's explain that. The present simple in English is used to express activities that are facts or events that are facts. What is a fact? A fact is something that is regularly true or that doesn't change. Okay, so it's true most of the times. It's something that is visible, probably scientifically visible, and that does not change. That has proof that it's like that. And in simple terms, we're not scientists, right? But in simple terms, a fact, for example, is, well, I am a teacher. That's a fact. That is something that is true, that is something that is real in the present, right? And we use the present simple. I am a teacher. I am a man. I am a boy, right? I teach English. Present simple, facts. If we go into the science part, think about water. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. That's a fact. Everybody in the world knows that. So water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It's generally true, doesn't change. So that's a fact. Present simple. We also use the present simple to talk about routines. This is one of the most common ones in which we use present simple, right? So everyday activities, the things that you normally do every day, those are routines. And we use present simple. So I go to the supermarket on Wednesdays. Present simple. I go to the supermarket on Wednesdays. Remember that for routines, most of the time we use adverbs of frequency to express how often the events occur. So that is a routine. And be careful because routines occur, yes, in the present, but probably they are not occurring right now. So that example, I go to the supermarket on Wednesdays, occurs, well, most of my weeks during this year, during this month, but it's not occurring right now because right now is Saturday. So even when it refers to the present or a general present, it doesn't mean that it's occurring right now. So it's not real present, right? Be careful. So I teach English. Right now I'm teaching English. So that one matches, but there are other examples that you can see that are not real present. Like I exercise every day at 4. It's the present, but I'm not doing that right now. So present simple, facts, routines, and we can also use present simple for future, but we're not going to study that one now. Future is for the next unit, but that's also possible. Okay, so how can I express real present? Present continuous. Present continuous, we use it to talk about things that are occurring at the moment of speaking. So I speak, I say the phrase, I say the sentence, and ta-da, it's occurring right now. I'm speaking in English. I'm teaching English. You're watching a video. It's occurring right now. So we use it for temporary activities, activities that occur during a period of time. And it's the real present because you say the sentence and the sentence is real in that precise moment. We can also use that to talk about the future, present continuous. But again, we are not going to study the future with present continuous right now. That's for the next unit, okay? So now it's clear how we use the present and the present continuous, right? What about the past? Do we have the same problem with the past? Well, no. The past simple refers to something that occurred in the past and finished in the past, just like that. And the past continuous is about an activity that occurred in the past during a period of time or it was temporary. And that's how we use it. So present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous. Do you remember the structures for each of those two? That is important. Now, especially when we talk about the continuous form, it is important that we analyze how we use it and in which situations we can use the continuous form in English. What is the continuous form? The gerund, the progressive. We have a verb and then we put ing, right? Like present continuous, past continuous. But it is important that we understand which verbs can be in continuous form and which verbs usually do not go in continuous form. And that is the difference between state verbs and action verbs. So what is an action verb? An action verb is a verb that indicates an activity or movement most of the time, right? So for example, play. We have play, and play is an action verb. We can also think about run, jump, write, read, go. All of those are action verbs because they indicate movement, they indicate an action. But there are some verbs in English that do not indicate movement, but they indicate state. But what is a state? Well, a state verb is a verb that indicates something that is permanent or long lasting. And we use it especially when we talk about qualities, when we talk about emotion. So state doesn't move, doesn't change. So some of those verbs are, for example, know. We also have like, we have love, we have believe, we have remember, and we have many others, especially the senses. They are also state verbs. Why this is important? Because action verbs can be in simple form and in continuous form, like in the example here in the presentation. I play soccer every day. I'm playing soccer right now. Okay? It is possible to use action verbs in continuous form. Now, state verbs, they usually do not go in continuous form. So it's not possible to say knowing, I'm knowing you. We know that that's an incorrect sentence in English. I am liking, I am loving, I am believing. Those structures are incorrect. Be careful when you use the continuous form and you understand which actions, which verbs can go with continuous form, action verbs, and which ones normally do not go there. Now, why this is important? Because, or how can you understand this better? Well, the first thing is, as I mentioned, is the verb indicating movement or an activity that can be temporary, or it's indicating that it's something that never changes, that it's complete or not complete. Think about know. Know is a verb that cannot be temporary. So you know or you don't know, right? It's not like you're in the process. And it's the same for verbs that indicate emotions like, love, hate. We don't normally use them in gerund because they are emotions that are full, or they exist or they don't exist. Think about your mom. You love your mom, right? Or your dad. You love your family. So you don't say, I'm loving my mom. Because if you say that, it indicates that it's temporary, because the continuous form indicates temporary activities, right? So if you say, I'm loving my mother, I'm loving my boyfriend, I'm loving my girlfriend, you are loving that person for that period of time. And that's quite not okay, because probably tomorrow you don't love the person, right? Or you're not loving the person. That's quite not okay. That's not possible. So be careful when you use those types of, verbs, state verbs. So now you know, for example, that the McDonald's advertisement, I'm loving it, is incorrect, right? Because that's not a correct structure in English. So you love something, but why do they use it? It's just for catching people's attention, because when people read that sentence, they say, okay, this is not really possible. So you read it and they caught your attention. Now, how can you express that you like something for a period of time? You can use other verbs like enjoy. Think about McDonald's. You're eating your hamburger and you really like it. So you can say, I'm enjoying my hamburger, not I'm loving, not I'm liking my hamburger. right? So just be careful. Enjoy is an action verb, but like, love, hate, those are state verbs. And it is important that we make the distinction. Most of the time, you will have to memorize or try to remember which one is which, state verb or action. Okay, so far we're good. Present, past, continuous form, action verb, state verbs, we're doing great. Now, there are other structures that you are practicing in the book that we use to express other things like habits. How do we express habits in English? Well, it depends. It depends on the type of habit. If we're talking about habits in the present or habits in the past. When we talk about habits in the past, we use used to, right? Used to. I used to play with my brothers when I was a child. This was a habit. I used to watch a lot of cartoons when I was a kid. I used to hang out with my friends before COVID, right? So a habit in the past. Now, what about habits in the present? How do we express habits in the present? With used to? No. Remember that habits are routines. So we use the present simple. And we can use adverbs of frequency to express how often those habits occur. So I usually watch Netflix during the weekend. That's a habit during the present, right? So just consider that, okay? So habits in the past, used to, habits or routines, present, simple, with then adverb of frequency. Most of the time, usually, sometimes, often, etc. So let's move on. Now, past simple or present perfect. We know that the past simple indicates actions that are completed in the past, as we have here in the presentation, or a recent action. But most of the time, we indicate when the activity occurred because it's important. As the activity finished, we want to mention exactly when. So we use phrases like yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 months ago, last year, etc. So the past simple indicates something that occurred in the past, finished in the past, and we mention when this occurred. We know how to create a past simple, right? We need a verb, regular verbs or irregular verbs, and the negative, the question, piece of cake, right? We know that. Present perfect. Now, careful because the present perfect can refer to activities from the past. But the difference is that the present perfect refers to an activity that started in the past or occurred in the past, might be recent, right? And it is relevant now because it's an experience, probably. The present perfect is used most of the time for experiences, right? So I have eaten Japanese food in the past. That's my experience. So I'm talking about something that occurred in the past, but it's relevant now, or it's true now. There is connection. The present perfect makes a connection between the past and the present. Present perfect indicates that that activity that occurred in the past is completed. It's important. It's true now. It's relevant now in the present when I say it. I have visited the United States 2 times. I did it in the past, but I'm talking right now about that, and that experience is important now. Present perfect. And recent activities with no specific time. I have visited the United States 2 times. That sentence is not indicating when. Most of the time when we use present perfect, we do not indicate when, but just because the emphasis is more on the experience or the activity, not on the time. And because it's important now, we cannot mention we cannot mention the time. Okay, so recent action. I have just finished reading my favorite book, or I've just finished watching a TV series on Netflix, something that is recent, probably last night. Now I'm talking about that, and it's very recent, so I use the present perfect. Okay, so careful with the present perfect, connection with the present. And past simple occurred in the past. Most of the time, we mention when the activity finished in the past. Okay, so we're doing good, right? We're trying to remember all those different tenses. But we have one more. How can I express in English something that occurred before another activity in the past? So I have an activity in the past simple, but I want to express that before that past simple activity, there was another past activity. So the past of the past, right? Well, we have past perfect. So the past perfect expresses an activity that occurred before another activity in the past. And this is important in English because in English, we try to make the difference between the different activities in the past. So we don't use for all the activities in the past simple. Sometimes we use it, but we try to make the distinction. I have an example here. It says the meeting had already started, and you can check on the timeline in color red when the meeting started. So the meeting had already started by the time I arrived. We have two activities occurring in the past: the meeting starting and the person arriving to the meeting. Yep. Which is the more recent one? The person arriving, which is in color blue. But before that, we have another, which is the meeting starting, right? So we have a past of the past. So when we want to indicate that one activity occurred first and then another one, we use the past perfect. So the meeting at 8 already started when I arrived. I opened the door and everybody was there. The meeting was going on. So two activities, and it's important to mention which one occurred first and which is the other one that is occurring second. And we're going to study this better in the next lesson. So don't worry too much if you're having troubles understanding the past perfect. I think it's one of the most difficult ones, but I'm going to show you some more examples so you can understand, right? I have some explanation here. It's exactly what I said. And I have some examples here that can help us understand. Number one, Mary had run all the marathon when she realized she was in the incorrect lane. She finished, yeah, in the past. And when she finished, she realized that she was in the incorrect lane. So she did something completely, and then she looked back and she said, oh no, I did it wrong. Number two, I had cooked dinner when my mom arrived. When my mom opened the door, the dinner was there, right? Again, talking about the past. The mother is the recent activity arriving, but when she arrived, something had finished before, the dinner. And number three, when we arrived at the cinema, the movie had finished. Again, we have an activity that occurred before another activity. Past perfect. And the past perfect is basically a subject or a person doing the activity. And we have had, and then we have the verb in past participle. And then we have a complement. And that's how we use the past perfect. And we make the difference with past perfect and past simple. Most of the time, for past perfect to have a meaning, we need past simple, because past perfect is the past of the past. So if you don't have past simple, you cannot have past perfect. So most of the time, we combine those two, talk about different events in the past. And basically, that's our review of the different tenses, especially present tenses and past tenses in English. So if you have problems understanding one of these, or you have questions about these, something you don't understand, well, you can ask questions when we connect. I hope this video can help you understand a little bit more the difference of those tenses. And I'm going to share this presentation with you when we finish this lesson. Okay, so keep working and see you later to discuss, check, and ask questions about the grammar topic. Keep working, guys.